This is part 2 of the schizophrenia deconstruction. Basically, I'm trying to break down my mental disorder. It really is just for me mainly. But at the same time, maybe it can help somebody else who's dealing with the same thing. Basically, I hear voices. It feels like I'm being followed. It feels like people are telling me things in my head, so it makes me very unstable. And I try hard to chill out. Like, I'll go to sleep for a long time, and I usually go to sleep just so my mind has like a reset. Like, it's almost like if I think of somebody or I think of a scenario or situation, then it puts a whole bunch of people in my head that could be involved or are involved. And in reality, you don't know whether it's true or not. You just feel something. So there's nothing that you can prove. I did at one point recently get confirmation that somebody who has been talking to me for a long time that supposedly has the same disease as me was trying to apparently come after me in a way, and I helped this person out. But yeah. Hello? Yeah, I'm just by this water and you can't see it, but it's like something making a weird noise. But anyway, basically, like, there's voices that tell me to like go outside, and like basically I keep saying basically. See, and it happens like that. Like, I'll get stuck in my words because there's so much going through my head. But the voices be telling me to go outside, acting like there's somebody around me. And I know there's people that don't actually like me, so it kind of plays off of those things. It plays off of like all of my life and the scenarios in my life telling me that my family doesn't like me, which is probably true. Telling me that the people I went to school with didn't like me, which is probably true, because when I was younger I had that feeling. I tried to separate myself from everybody, but sometimes I guess I just crave, like, not attention necessarily, but conversation. Because if I didn't talk to people, then I would have probably just made videos. And I don't necessarily think videos are the best way to cope with life, because it exposes you to a vast amount of people, and not all of those people are necessarily safe to be around, especially if you have a mental disorder. And I also think like this disorder broadcasts your thoughts to everybody. So like, there's times where I'll feel something or I'll think something, and then somebody else will say it, or they'll act it out, or just weird stuff like that. And I'm using experience because that's the best way I can explain it. Like, I've done research, but most of the research will claim that it's chemical imbalances, and sometimes they'll say like certain drugs can induce this disorder, which is probably not untrue. Like, I've done psychedelic drugs before, and it definitely changed me, but before I did do them, I was already feeling strange. So it kind of enhanced that uneasiness. And I think it was because of what I was exposed to as a younger person, as a teenager. It was, a lot of drug selling going on around me, and there was gangs or cliques, and I wasn't really involved deeply in any cliques or gangs. Like, I had a friend group, and we were gonna make YouTube videos together and comics. That was really my dream, to make YouTube videos and comics and just entertain people in a way. And then I started studying psychology because of my mental disorder, and I was also in engineering, and that was just because I like to create things and build things, but I've never really invented anything. That's enough about me. Even though this is my channel, it's really supposed to be about the schizophrenia, so I'm gonna get back to that. Basically, like, your world, your mind is like a universe in itself, and that universe is inviting people in every day by you sensing them. So if I sense someone in any way, if I've seen them on camera, if I've seen them in real life, if I've heard them, if I've, even the sense of smell brings back like a memory and it'll remind me of somebody. So all of these things create like a sense of like someone's there. Like, once I feel like someone's there, I'll basically hear a voice, and that voice will either sound like them, or the scenario will be like what including them. And like, there's been several times where I've heard people, and most of mine are negative. Like, most of the stuff that I hear is just really negative. Like, it's almost like because of my mental illness, I've been a burden on other people, and so they want me dead, basically. And in reality, I just agree and accept it, because it's like I have no other choice. Um, I'm of the mentality that if everyone wants you dead, you have no choice but to die, because you can't survive everybody. Like, you can't just live around a whole bunch of people that want you dead. They're gonna plot on you. They're gonna make you look crazy. They're gonna make you look dangerous. They're gonna make you look all of these things so they can get rid of you. And even if you try to leave or move away, they probably won't stop until you're completely erased, because that's just what they want. Now, when I was younger, I used to feel things about different organizations and institutions, and I would express my opinion. And that was, of course, a mistake, because you can't talk about institutions that are greater than you, that have been here established for many years. Um, as a young person that has no experience and no idea of why they're there. And even to this day, like, I still kind of have the same opinions, but I'm seeing it from a different perspective. Um, Having this disease, it's kind of made me aware of the effect that as me as a person has on the environment around me. And it's the impact that you have is way greater than you could realize. Like, the smallest thoughts could be taken and made into something way more, like, the smallest ideas could be made into the biggest deal. you know every move that you make could be impacting the outcome of every situation around you. So, like, butterfly effect and all that. And I think that's why a lot of scientists are diagnosed with like different disorders and diseases, because they are looking at the world from a certain viewpoint, trying to prevent all of these negative things from happening, these dark events, but they don't necessarily have everything they need, or maybe they do, to prevent them. So as I'm thinking about things, I'm thinking about, my family and my attempt to start relationships, and in this day and age, like, I'm not to say I'm not like everybody else, because I kind of am, but it's just like I find it hard to fit in, because when I do try to fit in with the crowds that I get into, and maybe it's just I'm in the wrong crowd, but it's extremely complicated. Like, I feel like people just, like, it's different when people tell you something to your face and make fun of you, but when they say it behind your back, it just seems a lot more malicious, you know what I'm saying? And it seems like every environment I get in, people say things behind my back, and it's almost like they're playing off of this energy that I'm aware of certain things, and I can see certain things in people, but I can't see everything. Like, no one can see everything in the world, right? But you can have insight in certain situations and see beyond what the normal scope is if you're not paying attention, if you're just giving a surface level of attention. So I basically, like, I've been trying to deal with that, and it's almost like I can't go to work anymore. I can't go home because I'm pissing my parents off, my sisters off, annoying them. I can't go to work because everyone at work, they hate me and they're trying to plot on me, or they're trying to, they're making fun of me, and they're taking advantage of situations that I'm in. Like, I feel like I can't even tell people who I'm interested in because they'll go after them. And I feel like that has happened multiple times. My old friends, like, I've tried to allow them back in my life, and it feels like, they were hiding their true feelings, and they were just having me around because I'm fun to joke around about. But then when I become aware, it kind of changes the situation, because it's like, okay, now he's aware. Now we have to get aggressive so he doesn't do anything, because if he tries anything, it's going to ruin the fun. So, like, I truly believe that people who have schizophrenia maybe had a similar personality type to me. Like, they're very outgoing in a way, or very vocal, or opinionated in society, and in just the groups that they were in, and maybe they were a little, I was kind of outgoing, but I was only outgoing because, I felt like I didn't really have real friends, and I felt like me being outgoing was just a way to distract myself from the feeling of just being really lonely and just not very liked. It was like, instead of going within myself and retreating and leaving the world alone, I just put myself more out there, and I just seen more of what was going on. And I don't know, it just, there's things that make me very, like, worried, I guess you could say. Like, I'll see the algorithm of my technology, and it's pushing certain narratives. Now, there is an aspect, there's, the perverted mind, right? There's an aspect of, having a perverse mind, and I feel like since I was very, very young, my mind has been perverse, and I guess I've blamed it on being a man. And maybe that isn't true, or maybe it is true. I've delved into adult films when I was young, and I shouldn't have done that. Not making them, but like watching them. And there's like this secretive effect that it has on people around me, that it seems like it's affecting them. And so I tried to stop watching it and tried to get away from, the M word or whatever you want to call it. But it's like just all these things are affecting people around me, and I just don't know why. So I try to become more active. I try to get outside more, and I try to find things. But it's like I'm playing this game of hide and seek. Like, my mind is telling me that there's people around me that I've known for a while that are looking for me or trying to put me in scenarios, like trying to put me in scenarios where I'm going into random houses and, feeling like they have hostages, and the voices are saying that they have guns on people and they're pulling out guns, and like it's just all this crazy random stuff that I wouldn't think of because I'm living a normal life. I'm going to work and coming home. Granted, I'm working at McDonald's, a regular ass job. And of course, as a person my age, I should probably be working somewhere where there's a higher pay, where there's more responsibility, where I could handle more of the responsibilities that I have. So I understand that, and I would love that. I would love to work somewhere else. I would love to have a different job, but I also don't want to put myself in an environment where I know I won't succeed. Then I'll be there for a couple of days after leaving a job that I know I can have for a while, and I'll get fired, and then I won't have any money. I won't have any income. I won't have any ability to do anything, and I'll have to reset from scratch like I've had to before. So it's just like, trying to move strategically is almost like a sin. If you're moving in a way that is not necessarily even comfortable, but in a way that is beneficial to your progress, it's not enough for who's around you, so then they get angry at you because you're not moving at their pace. You're moving at this pace. And I went to college for a while, but I couldn't afford it, and then I didn't get granted financial aid, so I had to pay out of my own pocket. And just like different scenarios, like I've just been doing things that don't necessarily make sense, or sometimes they do make sense, but to other people they don't make sense, so it kind of invalidates what I'm doing to them, but not to me, because it still makes sense to me. I put myself in danger a few times, like people have pointed guns in my face and pointed guns around me and other people, and it's just like very weird how I've been placed in these situations and I haven't been killed yet, like because I know people don't like me, and I know people are angry at me, and I try to just figure things out, and it's like the more I try to figure out, the more aggressive and frustrated they become. So then it makes me less able to do things about it, because the more I realize, then the more angry they'll get. And it's like I can't shut my mind off for a second, because having this anxiety or fear or whatever, previously I said I didn't have anxiety because I thought of it as something different. I thought of it as just awareness of a situation, and then it would make me get strategic. But then the more aware I am, the more strategic I get. It's like if there's an opposing force, that force will understand everything that's going on as soon as I do, and then they'll start planning against it, and they have more resources, and they have more people, and they have, a greater scope of the situation, because they're the aggressive force and I'm the passive force, So, and it's like, I have feelings about things, but it's like it's almost like I can't feel anything about anything, because the more I feel, the more things go wrong. And me being on camera, right, and expressing things like this, it's almost like not even taboo, but it's just like it feels dangerous because I'm putting myself out there. I'm putting information out there that might be sensitive information, and the people that'll see it, they'll be angry and they'll be, oh, so you're gonna talk about this, and it's like there's no other way to do it. I've tried to express myself to other people and they just say the same things, and they put me on medicine, and the medicine doesn't make the voices go away, but it puts me around people, and it's like, oh, well, you hear this, right? So if you hear this, that means that you're gonna be made fun of for feeling weird, because people don't care about what you think. They care about how you move around, and you move around as if nothing ever has mattered because you've put yourself in danger. As soon as it happens, they get angry at you because you don't feel like you're in danger. You feel like you're around people that aren't ever going to see you as who you are because they don't care about you. They care about what they can get from you. And if you feel like you can make females look good and talk about them in ways that don't make sense, this is the voices again. Just letting you know, this is not what I think. This is what I feel like someone else is thinking. So I'm going to continue on that thought process because this is stuff that I do. I talk to females and I think females look good. And apparently that's sinful. Because you're not supposed to feel anything for the opposite sex. But they keep on making you feel loose because you're actually darker than anyone else, because everyone sees you as some dude who has no idea what happens to people who videotape themselves and make people see that there's other people there, and continue to do it even though they know that those people will strike over you. They will strike inside of your face. They will strike on your family. They will keep you looking weird. They'll blame you for it, and they'll talk about you as if you didn't know what happened, but then you put it on tape, so then you know what's going on. That means that everybody who's involved will know where to go as soon as they get there. They'll play you as if you were a joke. They'll lie about knowing what you did. They'll lie about saying what you said, and they'll show off that they were believing in you to be more than what you were, because you could do things that other people say they can't do, but they really do it all the time. No one calls it out, because then people are going to start being more careful and they're going to start moving around different. You're not doing anything different. You're moving the same way, making sure people see you that way, and showing that this is how it's been for all this time. Like, literally, people lie about you and tell you that you're something you're not, saying that you're crazy and saying that you're aggressive, but you're really just around people who want things from you that they shouldn't want. Like, a voice that doesn't mean anything to you has said that they would try you just for thinking like this. And that means that they don't like women that have fun, because it means that they're being placed around people who will use them as that, and they will call them things that they're not, and they will force them into things that they don't want to do. And I believe this, and I also don't like it, but when I don't have resources, and when I was forced away from the resources that I had, when I was able to do something and people forced me away from it, it just showed me that I was taken over by people who hated me and had access to people that I knew somehow, and those people didn't have the same awareness that I had for some reason, because they are always getting forced around people to be different. That didn't even make sense. It didn't make sense that you had females coming after you, telling you that they needed help, Then you seen that and said, well, if I do help you, then they're gonna come after me. Then they're gonna force my family into things. And that was the way you seen it, and they couldn't see that being the case because you looked like you didn't have anybody in your life. You looked like you were struggling to be there every day. And that was the way people couldn't see you because you were the only thing that didn't feel weird around them being famous for females loving you more than they loved other people. That is a snake, isn't it? That is a big, either it's a snake or whatever it is, it's just huge. And I hope it doesn't come over here because I don't feel like fighting right now. Not something like that. I'd rather fight a human being, for real. Them things are quick. I wish I could show it, but I don't think I could. It's like a water moccasin. But yeah, apparently this is how I've lived my life. People have looked for me and they needed help from me, and I felt like I couldn't help them because I wasn't in a stable position to help them. But of course I wanted to help, and I tried to do it. I did, and it put them in more danger. So it's only things that make you feel like this that create situations like this. If you're a person that has awareness, you should use your awareness to help the people around you. Like Donnie Darko. Donnie Darko was a movie about a guy who had strange feelings, and he revealed things about situations that were happening, and it created awareness, and people started to be able to do stuff about that. But at the same time, that same awareness could be the very downfall of a lot of people. And if it's a situation that is being talked about, there needs to be more information given, even if it's out in the public eye. Like, you know, somebody that's being talked about, taken over and shown off by people who know you from your sister to your thoughtless little world leader who doesn't care about people being laughed at because he doesn't see people as who they are. He sees them as other people who come over and say things that don't make sense, that don't ever make sense, and that don't need to make sense, because even if they did, it wouldn't go global. It would go local. It would go literally nowhere. And people wouldn't even see it as what it was. They would see it as a firm. It's being faked on by you. He said that he couldn't tell what happened because you weren't using your family for anything. You weren't telling them that they were crazy enough to call you out. They said that they were trying to get you out there. They didn't tell you because it was making you look first. Like you were gonna be there and they were gonna show a gun, and then they would have just shown that there was nobody playing games. They were actually fighting for their lives. Like, personally, a guy like you will get cursed by me because I'm being left alone by the person that could help me. That person needs to know that there's officers looking for them so that they can be aware that they were sown a seed of deceit. That seed was to be aware of what was going on in their life. That means that there should be aggression towards you for you being like this because you thought that that guy was going to hurt you. You thought the person that didn't have anybody around them was going to do something to you, but they were literally trying to make you feel funny so that you could talk about everyone else that was using you for their pleasure because they don't have fun losing their minds. They feel like they're doing things that could be done to anyone. They don't know that people like them because they have no feelings. They have no ideas. They feel what is around them, and that's why people need them around. there's a person being stalked by another person that doesn't have anything with them. They have a nameless culture that is being talked about with no one around because that would make them look weird. If people were around them and they were talking to themselves, it would make them look worse to that person because they don't want them to say anything about why they feel weird all the time when a person has been trying to tell you that you're really good looking, you really have family members that want you to see things like that because it will make you understand that you are being paid to go home and not see anyone. That way people won't tell you what they're feeling and you won't feel funny when they see you and you don't say what they need you to say, like, oh, hello, I'm being made fun of, so I don't want you to know what I feel. I'm making money to get around you, and you want me to see you as a first-degree killer. Well, I don't care. That's not affecting me in any way. And if you do want to do it to me, you should do it to me because I don't want to have to feel these feelings. It makes me feel like I'm always in danger from somebody who hasn't been around me. And that means that there's other people faking me out so that they can get away with what they're doing. Meaning, the very person you feel like is going after you is actually being paid by men to cry help so that he doesn't get worried about what's going to happen to him. These people have done worse to you than ever before. They place niggas around you that don't care about life, that will take your life first, and then they'll make you look like you were involved. Then they'll try your ass out for being interested in talking about it because it makes you look like you want to say something to other people when you should just be ready to die because that's the only thing that you can do is die. And if you say something about it, it means you're dead already. Like, no one's gonna take you serious. They're gonna laugh about you calling it out. They're gonna say, wow, he's really aware of what's happening. And that's what makes him more afraid because he's laughing about you seeing him as a threat, even though he said you were not a threat. You are not around him enough to see him as a threat because he's put people down on the ground and shown them that he was ready to do them worse than he would have done them if he didn't have his family around. He was ready to do worse to people because he's indirectly very aggressive. And he doesn't like being indirectly aggressive because it makes him feel weaker than he is. He has more females to talk about because there's been a plan on him to show him where they are. They're out there in the open getting talked about, getting started by a user of you who knows that you can do all of this and they can't say anything to you because if you start doing things like this, then they'll get exposed on camera for being made fun of for not using their family as who they said they were because they know that them people can go after you and take you serious and make you look like weirdness even though you're not dangerous enough to talk about it. You're not dangerous enough to tell people that there's a man named Quentin who doesn't use his mind enough to tell people he's a racist because people have done him worse after being kind to them. Like, I'm Quentin basically. The guy who's talking is probably Furman Sims. He's been coming after me, apparently with an army, and he's saying he's good at slaying my kind. This is my schizophrenia because everyone's saying that they hated me after knowing that people were around him saying that he said you were crazy. He said you didn't even feel funny when you talked about people who needed help. You said this person needed help. They didn't say it, but they showed me. Then I couldn't do anything because if I would have done something, their gang would have come after me. And it's a good gang. It's a gang full of niggas who do kill people. And they show it out in the open on camera. So if I were to try to help without having that feeling of, oh, it's gonna be a kill right in front of you, they're gonna show off that they can do it right in front of you, and you won't do anything about it because there's someone down there that probably needed you to do something. Like go first and try helping people, and then get stolen from by a guy who doesn't even use his family. He uses his gang on you. And apparently there's like 75 of them, and they're after my sister who's not here, and my other sister who's not here, and my mom is included because she's been talking to people who don't tell her things but act funny around me and give me this weird energy like they want me to do something to them, or they'll do aggressive things to me, and that means that I have to use myself as if I was their family member so that they don't get took over by other people, because these people go far for what they have. They go out their way to show off that if you don't do it, then you won't have anything. This is why I keep making videos, because I know there's people out there that probably needed help that didn't have the same thing. They had another person who hated them, talked shit about them, and kept them looking stupid because they had a heart and the other people didn't. And that's why I have to go home, because if I don't go home, then who knows what could happen to my family? Who knows what could happen to the people around me? You have to care about your community. You have to care about your family. You should care about your country. You shouldn't diss your world leader, because your world leader deals with the most stress in the world, because they have to control as much as they can using all of these resources, knowing that the people within these agencies and facilities won't necessarily always do their job the way they should. And you should care about your bosses and your co-workers, because if someone just comes around you that doesn't do work, they're probably not there to work. They're probably there to spy on someone, stalk someone, and use them as whatever they want. In reality, if you don't care about life, then your life will end. Me, I actually always cared about life, but my life will still be ending most likely this year. I'm gonna put the prediction out there like it's Cowshy, because I know that people have tried me over and over and over again, and by the skin of my teeth, I've been lucky enough to survive. And in fact, it's felt like I've died over and over and over again, and I just woke up and it was a dream, and then it happened to be something that actually happened, but the shock just didn't hit me that same way. It just hit me as if something different was going on, and that I survived, and then I got another chance. But in reality, I just survived, and somehow I'm getting more mad because there's people out here that won't understand that. They will listen and they will find you and they will call you a lost soul because they don't feel like people should care. They feel like no one should care. They feel like everyone should be stuck just like this so that people could see where it comes from. It comes from ugly niggas that don't understand that if you have looks, you can't get anywhere, because people will always get where you are so they can get anything that you could get, because they want to have your fun. They want to have your life. They want to do everything that you can do because it will make you look more dumb than they do. And then they'll get all these good feelings and they'll live their life and they'll have money and they'll be famous and that will make them look like they're greater than you. But in reality, you didn't care. You wanted a life of peace. You wanted something strange to get away from you, because if they aren't satisfied with that, having money and women and cars and houses and being able to do whatever they want, then they never were going to be satisfied. The only thing that will satisfy them is literally being me, which is impossible because I'm me and they are them. I can't say that enough. Literally, if I have to give my life so somebody else could be safe, I would. That's the only thing I could think of. I can't just go out and start fighting random people that were hired to be around me so that they can make me look dumber than I already do look, because I don't have anything. I barely have a good job. I don't have a car. I'm about to get kicked out of my house because every time I feel these feelings, it makes people uncomfortable, and I can't keep being like this because I'm going crazy in that way. Not because I have a mental disorder that's somehow related to all of this, because that's what happens to people. Well, I guess that's what it is. Schizophrenia deconstructed part 2. If you have danger around you, you'll get a mental disorder that will tell you everything that's going on, and you'll have to give up life because people won't let you go. They'll try to get you stuck with other people who know how to mean things that they say, like telling people that they could get you startled by everything around you, because that's the only thing that can work. If you get startled by everything, then you'll realize how much danger is around you and you'll move different. But if you move differently, people will start to shoot you and they'll start to kill you, and you'll live nowhere, and then they'll play you as if you were a stupid person. See, more voices, because I would never say that. I would say that if you move differently, you'll notice patterns in your life that show that people were always stalking you and they just didn't do anything because they didn't have the feeling that you knew. They just felt like you were doing dumb things that you always do. Now me, this is probably not gonna go anywhere. Literally, it's probably gonna go on this page, disappear, no one's gonna watch it, or the people that do watch it are gonna be involved in it, so it's not gonna make much of a difference. The only thing I can say is make sure that you aren't involved in crime, drug selling, drug dealing,